Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Babbling Irons match preview. Myself and Mike today breaking down what should be an easy 3 points. Arsenal at home. I'm joking. Disclaimer before I get clipped on Twitter. Tough game. Arsenal. Obviously, we've beat them twice so far this season, but this is a completely different ball game once again without Paqueta. Although saying that we technically kind of did beat them away without Paqueta, so swings and roundabouts. But it's going to be a very tough game. We're obviously coming back off the back of that 3-0 loss. Still yet to pick up a win this calendar year. It's something we need to rectify. And obviously, Arsenal at home is probably not the game you'd want to do it, but we can't really afford to keep dropping points now because there's teams around us like Newcastle, Chelsea, and United even who beat us are pushing away and pushing onto us as well. So how are you feeling about this one, Mike? Obviously, a very different game to what we're used to, but without Paqueta, once again, Antonio, it looks like he's not going to be match fit to kind of get in the squad, as Moyes was saying in his pre-match press conference. Tough game against Arsenal. They're obviously doing pretty well themselves in the league. I think they're third now, 2 points off the top. Had just beaten Liverpool. Spirits are high. Too tough for you, or is this potentially doing the treble over Arsenal?
I can't tell you the last time I've ever seen West Ham to do a double over Arsenal. Even finding singles over Arsenal has often been quite difficult in our past, to be honest. It does feel like it's maybe a leap too far when you consider, former players is maybe not where it needs to be. A couple of players have only really just come back from AFCON, so trying to get back in the swing. The defensive errors that keep happening again. No Paqueta, no Antonio does mean that we are light in our options to come off the bench and to try and change the game. And the United one, we didn't play badly. We actually played quite well, but somehow found ourselves at the end of a defeat. Again, individual errors, slices of luck, and then poor finishing on our side. Saw a familiar tale with West Ham. I felt. I also felt a bit like Moyes in his first tenure as well. We had a few games a bit like that where we actually did quite well, looked alright, but we just could not finish for love nor money, and then found ourselves on the end of a bit pretty convincing scoreline. I wouldn't say defeat, I'd say scoreline. I'm hoping this one doesn't follow the same. I do think we've shown in the other games that we have it within us to cause Arsenal problems. Set pieces is where we know Arsenal are actually quite strong, as are we.
Yeah.
For me, I think that if we are going to have a crack at Arsenal in this one, it is going to be via a set piece. Is going to be our best option, or it's going to take maybe an individual piece of brilliance from Kudus, or just maybe a slight mistake from Arsenal in it, and that we catch them in transition. I think that's probably our only real routes, because I don't see us having a lot of the ball, and I don't see us necessarily having the ability to create enough to.
Well, let's talk about Arsenal to start with. Obviously, a lot's been said about them, in recent years about not having the spine, not having the bottle to take it as far as it needs to go. Obviously, a couple of seasons ago, missing out on top four. Last season, missing out on the title when they probably should have won it. This season, they've been, again, very, very strong. They're only 2 points off the top of the league now. Obviously, City have a game in hand, though. But, they've still got that. They've strengthened from last season. Obviously, Timber's been injured, which has been a big miss for them. I think Arsenal fans were really excited about him. Obviously, elephant in the room, Declan Rice has been outstanding for them, as we knew he would be. It's really been, as you mentioned, set pieces have been where they've been strongest. It's actually been from open play where they've hurt, and I think they've alluded to the fact that they've kind of lost that creativity in midfield. For experimenting with likes of Havertz playing as an 8. Obviously, the introduction of Declan Rice, who's less forward thinking in his passing than someone like Thomas Partey, who was playing there.
He came in really to replace Granit Xhaka, isn't it? And that's been it's not upset the apple cart, but it's just changed that dynamic, and they're just obviously finding that equilibrium to kind of have that same level of fluidity that they had. And Granit Xhaka, in that, I'd say last year, was one of their best players, if not probably obviously behind Martin Odegaard, who was quite clearly their best midfielder, I think, last
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, no, he was very crucial to that midfield, and I think, as you say, it's kind of that transition that they've brought in a few different players. I mean, Kai Havertz again is a name we'll probably talk about a bit more in a minute, but yeah, it's getting that balance right. I think that's again they've been picking up the results. Arsenal fans that have said they haven't really been playing well consistently throughout the season, but they've been picking up results. Obviously beat Man City at home, have just beat Liverpool at home. They're picking up important points, in that title race. So they're going to come to us and want to win the game. They're going to try and win the game, and we're going to have to try and counteract that. Where I'm scared is like you mentioned I think in transitions ourselves. If we're trying to be attacking, I think we'll be susceptible to that counter attack ourselves, because I think Arsenal are actually pretty good on the counter, especially if they're going to play Martinelli and Saka out wide as well. So it's a tough game for us, because not only have we beat Arsenal twice this season, we've now also got the added pressure of, not having won in 2024, slowly starting to slip away from that top six-ish in the league. So how would you like us to approach it? Because, we know what Arsenal are going to bring. They're going to try and, dominate possession, which I'm sure they will. They're going to try and push up as far up the pitch as they can. And they're going to be trying to look to be clinical from the likes of set pieces or creativity around the box from the likes of Saka and Odegaard. So how do we neglect that? Because I think we did it excellently at the Emirates. I think
Yeah.
we defended really, really well around our box. We allowed them into our box quite a lot, but they didn't actually have that many clear-cut chances. They had a couple in the second half, but by and large, we defended the box really, really well with, I think, Ogbonna and Mavropanos at the back on that occasion. So is it a case of same again, or do we have to try and change things up, especially with Paqueta missing?
Yeah, I think the first one, obviously in the cup, there was a few changes on their side, and I think we
Yeah.
caught a bit on the hop because we were actually quite forward thinking and attacking in that game.
Yeah.
And was it 3-1? I think the final result in that
Yeah.
one. Then obviously went to the Emirates. That was 2-1, I believe, wasn't it? With a penalty.
2-0.
2-0. Sorry, I thought there was a penalty from Saka, but no, I think they actually dived.
No, we missed a penalty to make it 3-0.
That's the one.
Ben Rama.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right at the end. Yeah. I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that game, I think in that game we did to them what we did to Brighton, which was, we did them dirty in the respect of we just not failed, actually, no, because that's wrong, because it was just we set up to do that. We purposely didn't engage with them. I know people with it wasn't pretty to watch in the respect of, we look passive, we weren't really doing anything. However, in certain games, I'm actually very comfortable in that play, like what we did against Brighton in the first game, not the second game. In the game against Arsenal at the Emirates, by failing to engage, we actually just said to Arsenal, break us down. And we just condensed so much in the middle. We went, your only option is to go out wide and to put the ball in the box. We will defend our area. No problems.
Yeah.
Obviously, when we do that, my always worry is that the way that Moyes has his defense defend is he has his defense defend very deep when we're defending crosses, which means very susceptible to cutbacks, which is what Arsenal have always been really quite good at, especially under Arteta, is getting to that byline and cutting it back. I think that's one of the things that when we play in that way, we become susceptible to, because they're
it's always a Moyes way, isn't it? He trusts his defenders to clear anything that comes into that box and defend the box.
I think that's fair from any manager to assume that their 6 foot plus centre backs will defend anything into the area that's tossed in. However, it also that I guess that trust, that tactical view can also then lead to being your biggest weakness, because you actually then just say, we're going to defend our 6-yard area more, and we're going to kind of defend deep because we're going to defend those crosses, and then we can come out to the penalty area, such as to kind of then challenge for the ball.
Yeah.
But when it comes then to a cut back along the floor, it makes it far harder to defend, which is something we've been susceptible for years. And Arsenal are very adept in that kind of play, especially with the pace they have to go around the outside of your fullbacks and then to cut back. So I do feel we can't engage with them too much. I think, like in the Brighton game, it's when there is a ball that looks like it's short, that's when we have to go. Some of the things that I do want to see if Ward-Prowse is playing in midfield or is he in a
Well,
bit of a
yeah, that's one thing I wanted to touch
things a
on.
bit more?
That's one thing I wanted to touch on, is how we're going to set up, because there's a few things we could change from obviously the United game. We've got Kufal back from after suspension, so he's available to play at right back. Obviously, Ben Johnson played kind of as a winger against Man United. He played, he's played centrally. He's played everywhere. So it depends whether Moyes wants to keep him in and where he would play. But what we said as well is, it was the fact that Ben Johnson stayed on against Man United at right back was kind of telling. So yeah, I think it's going to be tough. I think we've also got, I think what we need to talk about here is the midfield and forwards. How we're gonna set up with that six, because you'd expect Alvarez to play as the defensive midfielder. Again, you'd expect hopefully Ward-Prowse to be in that midfield three and not out on the left, because I think Moyes has seen that. I don't think he'll do that again. It's whether then he wants to play Souček or Phillips, or both, and play kind of a box four. What do you see Moyes doing in this situation, and what would you do? Because again, then we don't really have the options up front that he wants. We're going to have to play someone like Cornet or Ings in this match to get a front three without shoehorning in someone like Ward-Prowse or Phillips.
I think so. I think you can get away. I think there's a way I would potentially play it, which people are not going to agree with, but that's fine. That's football. It's about opinions, right? But I think from a field perspective, as you say, Eddie is nailed on to be in that kind of number 6 position. Ward-Prowse, again, is going to play regardless, because it's that set piece aspect. I fear he's never going to score a set piece for us. I'm hoping that jinxes that point, and then he whips in like a 40-yarder tomorrow. I'm sorry, on Sunday. So I hope that's jinxing it. What I feel he'll go for Souček, purely because he will be
Yeah.
thinking about and will be well aware of Arsenal's proficiency from set pieces this season. I'm pretty sure they've got the most goals from set pieces this season, or at least this calendar year.
No, they do. Yeah, this season.
Well, sorry, in calendar year last year. So I think he'll have that in his mind and think that he needs that added security of Souček.
Yeah.
And obviously, he is a defender. I would look to actually take the risk and not put him in and go for Phillips, because it's going to be a game where we're not going to have too much of the ball. And I would feel far more comfortable if we had Eddie and Phillips playing that more defensive reserved role, because they are able and willing to take the ball under pressure. Obviously, we've seen
Yeah.
Phillips has got ring rust. However, I don't think we can improve Phillips' ring rust by bringing him on from the bench. I think he's that type of player who has to start. I don't think he's a player who does well from the bench, in my opinion. So
I think for me in this match, it has to be one or the other. It can't be both. We need to play. I think the way we're going to play is, as you say, it's going to be Alvarez playing as the deeper one, and I think we'll have two more deep. It will be either Souček sitting next to him deep, or it'll be Phillips sitting next to him deep. What we can't afford to do is play both of them and Ward-Prowse and shoehorn it in, because it just won't work. And I think we're going to have to see something different in the attack. And what I think Moyes is going to do is start Danny Ings. And I think he's going to play Kudus out on the left and Bowen on the right, because I think he saw enough from Kudus against United and in the home fixture we recently had, to suggest that Kudus can operate on that left-hand side. And I think we just don't have an option striker.
I see it differently. I see Kudus staying on the right-hand side, Bowen staying up top. And because of how he played against Man United, Ben Johnson will go as the left winger.
Really?
And the reason he'll go as a left winger is, we brought it up before, when West Ham played against Aston Villa at Villa Park, where Grealish was killing everyone, he put Ryan Fredericks at right wing, Soufal at right back, and he basically told the two of them just to ultimately double up and beat him up for full 90 minutes, and they did. And obviously Grealish still scored in that game. However, he scored when he went
he
to the
moved.
offside,
He moved over
and went up against Cresswell. So I can see, because we got to play against Saka, and Ben Johnson is a good defender, regardless of what some people say. In my opinion, he is a good defender. I think having that defensive winger as such, who can,
I think Kudus does that well enough. I think his defensive contribution is you know,
But I
it's
think
fine.
Kudus, his outside to inside movements work so much better, and it allows
Yeah,
him
agreed.
to change with Bowen. So I think by having Kudus there, then it gives us that level of familiarity down that right hand side that we've had,
Yeah.
and I feel that he'll want to help Emerson against Saka. So maybe putting in a player who is more defensive minded ahead of Emerson
Hmm.
may be the way to go. And as I say, because Johnson's done so well at right wing, he did well against Man United,
Yeah.
done well at central midfield. Soufal's back, so Soufal, I think, is going to go right back. I think he may look at this and go, well, I need to try and nullify Saka as much as I can. And we've seen in games where Saka's actually had two men squarely put against him, he has sometimes struggled. And even this season, where teams have made it difficult for Arsenal when they've actually been able to successfully double up on Saka. And I think what we'll do is essentially ask Ben Johnson to just follow. But Ben Johnson did pretty much the same with Rashford, actually. He seemed to be just kind of man marking Rashford. So he tended to come inside a lot because that's where Rashford was going for the ball. So I can see him looking at Ben Johnson to do the same thing and be you have a man marking job on Saka
Yeah. And
to kind of nullify his space and also to allow Emerson time in which to come in and help you double up to try and then
yeah.
get the ball and
You know
hit
what?
them.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a bad shout, to be honest. I didn't even think about it that way. But yeah, I think the way Moyes thinks is probably more like you than me in that situation. Trying to be, thinking of the defensive rather than what we can do going forwards. And I think as well on that point, Arsenal's weaker side is that left-hand side. If it's Zinchenko playing at left back, there's that weakness there. And I think Zinchenko went off injured actually against Liverpool. I don't know if he's going to be fit for this game. So it will either be someone like Kirill, who came in for the Liverpool game. Again, a weaker defensive side than Arsenal's right. So I
I think
think
the
we
thing
need,
about
yeah,
Arsenal on that right hand side, they don't have a fullback that really gallivants forward. So if you can
yeah,
have, say, a Ben Johnson who you can entrust to man mark Saka,
hmm, yeah,
you give Emerson maybe that license to at times
go
to
forwards,
get
yeah,
close as well. So you can do that double up. So if you do then win the ball, then Emerson can be the one that goes
yeah.
advanced, and then you have Johnson who's happy then to slot into that left back position to give you that defensive solidity. So
It'll also be interesting to see if Saka starts because he also went off injured against Liverpool. He seems to go off injured every week and play the next week. I think he's too important for them. I think it's similar to what we do with
I
the
think it's
likes
one
of
of those
Paqueta
players
and
who
Bowen.
gets kicked so often that sometimes you just need to just take the
Yeah,
player out of the game
yeah,
just to save them, because as you say, they're so important. You can't actually risk them getting injured. So if there's even the thought that they might get injured and you're in I guess a
yeah.
position of strength, then you maybe do go, well, let's look at our bench. We've probably got enough on here to see us
Well,
through.
yeah, it's going to be a tough game. I think they've got a lot of quality. Obviously, we're very aware of that. But I do think there are opportunities for us. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be a really tough game. We're going to have to be on it. We're going to have to ride our luck again. We're going to have Areola on form if he's back ready to play after he went off against Man United as a precaution. So with
Yeah.
everything considered, score prediction. I know you hate it, but we
No,
got to
no.
do it.
I I think our form's going to continue in the vein of not getting a win. I want it to be wrong so badly. I think not getting in a player has also impacted that freshness, that little boost that we needed in confidence and something fresh to
Yeah,
focus on. And I think not doing that has also seen a bit of an impact in our overall kind of play. And I think Arsenal, based on the last results, going to be so full of confidence.
yeah,
Likes Martinelli and Saka, the pace in the wings are going to be vital. Odegaard is in good form. Obviously, Declan Rice has been in very good form. And without Paqueta, you do kind of look at it and go, unless we're able to get the ball to Kudus and get him in positions where he can be 1v1,
mm,
you maybe struggle to see where we're going to create an open play,
yeah,
bar maybe a long ball over the top, hoping that Bowen can outrun
yeah,
fairly decent pace centre backs in Arsenal,
yeah.
or it's set pieces. So it could be a bit of a slog for us, and I just think Arsenal will have the impetus to kind of make a point after the 2 games that they've already lost against us this year.
So what score is it going to be?
Well, I think I would say 2-1 Arsenal. I think.
Yeah, I was thinking 3-1 Arsenal. I think we'll get done on when if we're trying to be a bit more expansive. I think they'll score the first goal, then we'll get done again. I think we'll then grab one back. I think we've got enough to score. It's just defensively, I don't trust us against this Arsenal team. Like you say, pace is a killer, and we don't have Paqueta in that midfield. In that front three. It makes it a lot tougher. So yeah, let us know in the comments what you think the score is going to be. Tough game, man. But we need to start picking up points. So hopefully we put on another performance and complete the treble over Arsenal in the 2023-24 campaign. But
yeah, and as Paul Merson said, be our cup final. Apparently, that's what
every
Arsenal
game is apparently. Every game is.
Arsenal are now everyone's cup final. First it was Tottenham, now it's Arsenal. But let's be honest, the last cup final we got to, we won. So let's see if we can continue that again and win our imaginary "we're better than the North London" trophy. That seems to be the conversation of whenever we play a North London club.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're going to leave it there. Make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you are new around here. And Mike, until next time.
Come on, you irons.
Come on, you irons.